I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Put on your microphone. You can maybe hear me, but I cannot hear you. Your volume is off somewhere. I cannot hear you. I can see your pretty face, but I cannot hear you.
There, now you should be able to hear me.
Now I can hear you.
All good.
You know how you know you're not a co-driver?
Why?
You're 13 minutes in front
Yeah.
of the schedule.
Fucking hell, I was flat out there. I literally just arrived in the hotel now. I
So
was in.
you were so eager to talk to me that you wanted to come 13 minutes early.
Well, you said to go on 20 minutes before. No, I thought that was 7 minutes late actually.
No. Well,
I
whatever.
must have picked that one up. I must have picked that one up wrong. So
Maybe you have to
anyway,
learn to read
how's things?
emails. How is things? Everything is good. How are
Yeah,
you, mate?
good, 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 good. Everything is well. Everything is well. Fuck, you're wearing pajamas.
No, I'm wearing a comfy, like a big fleece thingy. What is this? It's really comfortable. I'm sitting in my rig where I drive the sim. This is where I do all the interviews always.
Okay, they still do some of the sim stuff, yeah.
Yeah. You as well?
Oh. Fuck. Since COVID, no. Since everything went back to normal after COVID, I stopped.
Ah, I still do it.
Yeah.
I did 22nd fastest time with the world car in Vesala, the shakedown of Rally Finland today. You
Oh yeah.
remember the
Fuck.
Vesala?
Yeah, the one where you start on this left corner at the top there.
No,
Yeah.
it's uphill and right the way we do it now. The way it was done a few years ago,
Yeah. Start on the
like the
bridge.
first time, not the way it was done last year.
Oh, okay. I thought the way that we did it last year was the way that it was done the last time in 2010. No, it
No,
started the same place. No.
no,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think it was. No, I think it wasn't. So you're in
Okay.
Germany. You have been at Hyundai or?
Yeah. I was at the factory today. I had to do some more seat fitting things, and then I will do a rollout tomorrow for the test car for next week. So,
Okay. So you test in Finland
um,
next week or?
yeah, next week. Yeah. That's the
Okay.
plan. So will be the first. Okay, I did one in December, but the conditions was not so nice. So this should be the first proper one.
How was Monte Carlo? Monte Carlo was the first rally in 10 years I wasn't in Monte Carlo actually. It was quite strange to follow the rally at home.
Yeah. It was. I did the recce, and then I stayed on until Friday evening, and then after I went back home. It's too hard to watch everybody else having fun. So I got on the plane and went back home. So, but no, it was interesting. It's a bit when you're doing the rally, it's nice that it's dry and it's consistent. But fuck, when you're watching it, it's better if it's a bit snowy and icy and tricky and whatnot. So.
Yeah, what are your thoughts about Monty this year? Like who for you who did well and who was disappointment?
Oh, it's difficult for me to say who was disappointment. Ogier, I thought did an incredible job. Yeah, like always in Monty, he just seems to have something a little bit
Hmm.
more than everybody else.
Hmm.
Um, and who else? Yeah, well, nobody could really touch him. There was no one that was really. Only Rovenpera at the end of Saturday evening was starting to
Hmm.
get a little bit closer, but then he always felt like he had something extra when he wanted. So yeah, no, he was impressive, really, really impressive.
How do you think your current team, performed? Because to be honest, I was expecting a bit more from Hyundai. Looking at test videos and everything, I was sort of expecting a bit more from them.
It's always easy to say it when you're stood. So many people said it to me during the weekend. In the service park in Monaco, and when it's nice and sunny and
Mm.
bone dry, and everyone is saying, they're struggling a bit, but you don't know what it's like when you're up there in the stages, and especially this year when the roads are so fast, they're still tricky, they're still difficult, and I yeah, I obviously Thierry did well, but he always seems to be able to manage to pull it
Mm.
out of the bag. He always seems to be able to drive around it, but Danny had his troubles with the hybrid, and EP got better and better as the weekend went on. So it's difficult to say. I don't want to pass judgment because I've been in that position so many times before where I've had a difficult weekend. And last thing I want is some guy with his big opinion, shouting his mouth off, making it look like it's easy, because I know it's not. So yeah, I think it'll be more clear as the rallies go on. We'll see.
Yeah. Have you driven the Hyundai on tarmac?
No, not yet. Not yet. I did okay on some driving around the Boxburg, like where we do the rollout, just like the test track, but on a proper stage. No, not yet.
And have you done any proper testing yet so far with the Hyundai?
No,
So
not really.
so you really can't compare how it was compared to the car you had last year?
No, not really. Not really for the moment. So we'll see.
Okay. Well,
We'll see.
the thing how this interview or this chat always does is we sort of want to talk about, or all the spectators who are watching want to hear about how you got into rallying. How you got into rallying is quite clear through your dad, obviously, but how did you get into rallying?
Like like you said, through my dad, I knew nothing else from the start. Was all I did from when I was a child. Was race go-karts, and I started karts at 8, and then that was basically just because I couldn't do rallies until I was 17. When you had the driving license, so and then yeah, it went from there. But like honestly, since I was a child, I knew nothing different. Never did any other sport. Never had an interest in anything else. Just rally and yeah, karting obviously for the first 10 years of my career. But yeah, just going helping my dad. I was doing, when I was old enough, I was doing gravel crew as a co-driver when I was sort of 12, 13, 14. Before that, back then, obviously, you had the management vehicles as the chase vehicles. So my dad was rallying with the Metro 644, so he couldn't carry a spare wheel. So you were driving around at the end of every stage with the spare wheel and fuel. So going from stage to stage with the service guys, and washing the door numbers and washing the windows and things like that. So yeah, like I said, I never knew anything different. Not even in school, or I just didn't know anything different other than going and working on rally cars in the middle of the week, and then going to watch the weekend. So, and then never knew anything different. And I wouldn't
Well,
choose anything else.
well, Ireland is quite a small country, so I wouldn't know if there would be anything else to do than to do rally.
No, not so much. It's popular. Yeah, it's popular in Ireland. There's not really not much else to do apart from go and drink beer, go and drink Guinness.
What in EWSC, your first rally results that I have is 2008. But did some rally in 2007, or have you done some rallies before that?
I did one rally in 2007. Yeah, in
Tipperary
August.
Snow and Throwers Stages rally or something.
Yeah, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. It was in the middle of this was when I was really in the middle of the karting World Championship, European Championship, and yeah, it was a disaster. I was literally in one weekend between all the kart races. I didn't get a chance to prepare properly. Did really no preparation at all, and was with the Group N Honda Civic, and yeah, just really didn't like it at all. And at that point, I said, no, maybe this isn't for me. I prefer to stay with the karting. But it was only then when I prepared properly for a rally and did it with all the correct, testing and recce and everything. Then okay, in fact, it's yeah, this is a dream.
Yeah.
And that was 2008, end of 2008.
But if I look in your, like, the rallies you have done already 2009, it's been really quick that you have moved not only to do rallies in Ireland and UK, but also do World Rally Championship rallies. So was this some kind of is it from your dad that that's where you need to be, let's go and do this? Or how has the planning or the budget and everything gone in the early days of your career?
The reason why I went to Portugal, this was the first World Championship rally I did, was my parents were building a holiday home in Albufeira in the Algarve during this time, and my mom had bought all the furniture or most of the furniture in Ireland, and it needed to be shipped out. So over around 3 or 4 weeks, I was convincing my dad, if the furniture needs to go to the Algarve from Ireland, surely you can put the rally car on as well in the truck when it's going down, and we can do the rally. So I was selling it more and more, giving him more red wine every evening, and then eventually one evening he said, "Okay, fine, stop breaking my balls. We'll do it." So we went. That's exactly what we did. We brought down the rally car and all the furniture, and we stayed in the house wasn't even done, so we had to stay in a hotel that year. But we went and we did the rally, and I won this Fiesta trophy like it was then. It was
Hmm.
like a JWRC then for the Fiesta ST.
Hmm.
And then I went and did Finland, then did Spain and GB, and we won this
You
Fiesta
won
World
Finland as
World
well.
Championship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. Had a really big fight with Jussi Kumpumäki. I will never forget it. It was a really, really nice fight all weekend long.
yeah, but it's quite interesting that basically your second full year of rallying and you're already doing World Rally Championship events. Because normally,
Yeah,
like if you think of Finnish, like how it's normally done in Finland, you do 3 or 4 years in Finland, then you do some ERC events, and then you might go into World Rally Championship events. But did you have good sponsors, or who was helping you in your early days of your career? Was your dad always the one who was looking for the budgets, or did you work yourself?
I'll be very, very honest. I was fortunate to grow up in a family that I had the possibility of basically living out my dreams. So
Hmm.
yeah, it was my whole family because I say even including my sister, we all had to make sacrifices for me to go and do what I wanted to do. So I was extremely lucky. You have to remember as well that when I started was like 2008, 9, 10, probably three of the worst, maybe probably 4 or 5 of the worst financial years
Mm.
in the world. So it was, my family had to make a lot of sacrifices to get it going. And I was lucky that I had support from okay, I had sponsors also, but the main part was from family and some close friends.
Hmm.
Um, and then I had support from the Irish Federation also at the beginning. I won a lot of trophies. I won a lot of like scholarships on the way as well. That was helping. And it was like one was leading into the next, into the next. At the end of every year, there always seemed to be a trophy or a scholarship or something that we managed to win. So we were lucky on that part. Really lucky on that.
Yeah, it's luck and it's life. That's the way life is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
luck and
exactly.
it's because everything happens for a meaning and everything's there for a meaning. So it's not always only about luck.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
exactly. So very
did you
true.
know or did you decide before you started doing any rallies that I'm gonna be a professional rally driver one day?
I hadn't the brains to do anything else. So if it didn't work out, it was going to be it's going to be big trouble. So it was always my intention. I knew that was going to take a lot of luck, but if it was to be measured in passion, or if that was going to be the only limiting factor, I knew that I had enough. I had more than anyone else in the world amount of passion for it. So, but yeah, you can never be sure. But like I said, I definitely knew that I had the motivation and passion, and I had that desire to try and
Mm.
make it work. But I think maybe the first rally that I would have done was maybe just for fun, but quickly after I decided, no, this is far too much fun just to do it at, some 3, 4, 5 times a year. This has to be done every weekend.
Yeah, 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 that's clear. Just a outside question. What do you do when you're not doing rallies? Do you have life? What kind of life do you have when you're doing rallies? Is it all
No,
rally around rally still,
everything,
24/7? So you're a
24
little
hours
bit
a day.
like Latvala.
Me and Yari are, I think, long lost brothers. Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly, it's
because you also
I
collect these old world rally cars and old
yeah,
cars and old service cars and everything like this.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is honestly all that I live for. Old rally cars, the history of the old rally cars, not just having them, but doing events and historic rallies. Memorabilia, jackets, overalls, helmets, everything, just everything that can remind me of how it was before. Because for me, it was better in the past.
Mm.
And I love doing the historic rallies. I love, listen to all the old stories from how it was before. If I had a choice in the morning, absolutely, I would go back 30 years, 40 years, and go back and live it then because it was so much better then, so much
Mm.
better.
Mm.
Okay, it's nice now also.
It is it is a little bit different, but it's nice. I also miss these old, roadside services and everything like this. This is what rallying for me should still be all about, not these big nice service areas and chase cars and everything like this is what I miss in rallying.
Big time. Yeah. Mm. Not the
Well,
same.
I'm gonna try and cut these first years of yours a little bit short. In 2010, you were second in Ireland, ninth in GB UK, 12th in SWC. 2011, you won WRC Academy. Is this like the juniors now?
Yeah, exactly. That I think the first 1 or 2 years it was called WRC Academy, and then they changed the name. I think when me and Elfin won it, it was still called this WRC Academy.
Okay. Was there some kind of a prize like they have these days, or?
That was that was a proper prize. It was 500,000 euros, like that. Yeah, it was unbelievable prize.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. They
Phew.
changed it. They changed it the year after, because in the end we done it ourselves. So
Mm,
in 2012, I won it in 2011. So in 2012, we already had the Super 2000 car,
mm,
and we ran the thing by ourselves, just my family and Tom Gahan, the guy who was taking care of all our rallying stuff in Ireland with my dad. We'd done it ourselves. Went out. My mom was cooking in the truck. Dad was there, on the spanner sometimes. We just did it ourselves, and we won it. Um, and then the following year they changed it that you had to run. You basically had to do it through M Sport
mm.
or I think it was, that's the way it was on the following year, and then they changed it that you would just get the car at the end. But that was good fun doing it ourselves.
Well, if you get 500k euros, that's good fun. Nice prize money to for the year of hard work.
Yeah. No, it was good.
But going back to the early days, like 2009 and 10, did you make some kind of a roadmap or like a plan of how quickly you want to move up to SWS 2000 when you want to be in the World Rally Car? Did you have like these goals that you wanted to achieve, or how did you plan your career? Like 2009 towards 2014, maybe?
Yeah,
Do you remember?
obviously. Yeah. I know it was fairly clear what we wanted to do. The first year was very, yeah. The plan changed very, very quickly. Like I said, that first rally in Portugal was just to go there and bring the furniture and have do the rally while we're there.
Mm,
And then I ended up winning that one, and then we ended up doing more and more World Championship rallies. So, and then when we won that, there was some prizes also for that to get an R2 car, I think, an R2 Fiesta. And then the following year, I made a mistake, honestly, and we went in the Super 2000. So my second season in rallying, I was already in the Super 2000 car, and it was too big for me. I was 19,
mm,
20 years old. I wasn't able for it, honestly. I didn't have enough experience, and I struggled on some rallies to even beat the Group N cars. And that was really, really, difficult from my head back then. Yeah,
hmm.
it was because I had so much pressure built up. I won basically everything that I entered the year before. It seemed like I couldn't do anything wrong.
Yeah,
Um, so at the end of 2010, there was this Pirelli Star Driver program that was running back then in the World Championship, and
yeah.
I won the shootout for that in Spain. So I had my season in the WRC Academy in 2011 was free, was paid by Pirelli. Um, so that was a step back into the R2, the two wheel drive car, and it was actually the best decision that I ever made to go back
Mm,
into two wheel drive again, do the JWRC, win that one, and then went back into Super 1000 with more experience, and then we could make it work. So, um, and then from there, it was at the end of every year, it just seemed to be perfectly linked into the next one. I had a contract from Peugeot already at the end of 2012, to start running as a factory driver in the European Championship in 2013. So that was the
mm.
first professional contract that I had, and then went from there. And Peugeot went to Citroen, and yeah, it was at the end of every year. Sometimes it looked a little bit bleak, like I was going to struggle to get a program, but it worked out every time for
Yeah.
some reason. So it all was good.
When you said it was too early to do 2010 in a Super 2000 car, how was it? Was there too much pressure, or was the car was where did it come from that you felt like it was too early?
It was, yeah. I'd only done one season of rallying, and I'd done, yeah, four. Did I do four World Championship rallies maybe?
Yeah.
In and effectively, like the ST Fiesta was a road car. It was a Group N, really completely standard road car. So it was, it was difficult to make that jump into a Super 1000 car. It was really nice to drive, but it was difficult. Obviously,
Mm,
there were a lot of
mm,
things you had to learn with the engine characteristics back then. Was
mm,
without the turbocharge, you really have to keep the RPM high, and um, yeah, I just struggled with it, and I didn't have enough experience. I didn't, it wasn't as if I had 3, 4, 5 years of experience with the Group N car before I went into Super 1000. I did my first four-wheel drive experience was driving the Super 1000 car in a
yeah,
stage, and I did a national rally in the first time I drove it on gravel. I was at a national rally in Wales, British Championship, and it was like even just to slide a car and to have a car with power coming from the rear. It was so completely new and strange.
mm,
So yeah, just took a long time to get into that, because I think it's natural. It takes some time, when you're that
yeah, yeah.
young, without experience, to be able to get used to it. Yeah, thankfully I had an opportunity to take a step back, and then when I stepped back up again, it was much easier.
So, so in a way, could you say that the step back that you take was a really good one? Because for me, when you learn to drive fast with a car that has less horsepower, less to give you, you need to really, focus in giving the speed up and understanding the car. It's easier to go to the next level's car when you have done your basics. So it was good for your career to take a step back, and it was also maybe mentally a good thing for you to understand that okay, now we took a big step. Let's take a step back and then move forward.
Exactly. No, it was important to make that step, and definitely at the end of the season in 2011, after going back in the R2 car, the two-wheel drive car, I felt like I was a much better driver than what I was at the beginning. So was definitely a good step to do that.
So you said you were a works driver for Peugeot since 2012 or 13.
Yeah, 2013. I did some events in 2012, but it
Yeah.
was it was mainly funded by ourselves.
Hmm.
And then 2013, I had the first proper professional contract.
Have you been a professional driver since that?
Yes, yeah, 2019. I lost the Citroen contract at the end of 2018, and I
Hmm.
had nothing until Rally Finland in 2019. So I had that little break, but apart from that, it's been, yeah, ever since then. I've been lucky enough to have a professional contract every year. So yeah, still keeping it going. Don't know how, but still managing to make it work.
Well, I think you're an average driver, so it's maybe
Average
quite
makes sense, yeah.
understandable that you are there.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
try to make it work.
yeah, I'm sure you will. How did the Peugeot deal come up? Did they contact you, or how do these deals normally come up for you?
That one was. I'm trying to think where the connection was. I think it was end of 2011. Yeah, it was towards the end of 2011. There was a guy who was the boss in Porsche Sport at the time, Frederick Bertrand, if I remember well. I think now he's a boss of one of the Formula E teams. He was the boss in Porsche Sport, and he was. I'd met him somewhere along the way in 2011, and he liked who I was, liked my style, liked my story, and he wanted that I drove the full WRC2 program or SWRC program in 2012 at Porsche Sport.
Hmm.
But in the end, we couldn't make it work. But he was able to put like a, let's say, a semi-works drive in some European Championship rallies in 2012 with the 207 Super 1000. That, yeah, I had to bring some budget for that, and I said, look, makes sense to do some extra rallies, on the side, and perhaps we can grow the connection a bit more with Porsche Sport. At that point, Porsche Sport were really quite big in IRC, and yeah, it was IRC at the time.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was maybe a good idea to get in contact with them and start working with them, and especially the fact that Peugeot and Citroen are related. So yeah, that was how it all started. I think I did 4 rallies in 2012
Yep.
with Santalok.
Yeah.
I did Rally de Var as well at the end of the year with Santalok. I did Taco Florio, which was a different program with a different car, different team. And then at the end of the year, I was approached then to do the full European Championship the following year with. They had a new team. It was his Porsche Rally Academy,
Hmm.
run through Santalok, for 2013, and that was the first, yeah, proper professional contract that I had then.
And on that year, you finished third in EWC. as I can see it from the results.
In 13, yes, yeah. It was that was with the old, with the 207. We should have had the 208 earlier, or we should have had it at some point during the year. Maybe in hindsight, it was better that we didn't get it at all. But anyway, yeah, we stayed with the 207 for the whole season in 2013. But it was good. I learned a lot. Obviously, different events, lot of new rallies for me. Got to do some really nice events like the Azores and Canaries, and
Mm.
I did Ypres for the first time that year also in 13. So yeah, the European Championship then was actually, there were some really nice events in it.
Yeah, could we say that the 208 R5 Peugeot was not maybe the, how can we say it nicely, not the best R5 that was in the market?
I think enough time has passed now that it's fair to say that was definitely not the best R5 that was ever made. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that goes without saying. Yeah, but it was it was all that I had at the time. I didn't have a choice of another
No,
one.
no, no, no.
So
Yeah, that's
uh,
clear. But
and it was funny because the first rally that we won was the Acropolis rally in 2014. We did Latvia with the 207. Wasn't ready
yeah,
he wasn't ready for Latvia. So with the first rally, like I said, yeah, was Acropolis, and was half tarmac, half gravel. First day on tarmac, second day on gravel,
yeah.
and we won. And everybody thought, oh wow, this must be a good sign for a great car to win on his debut. And I think that was the only rally that I won with that car. At least that year, I won some more in 2015, but for the rest of the year, I basically retired on the majority of rallies that I did. Was an absolute disaster from pretty much start to finish. So yeah, not a great season.
But do you know why now? Because it's 9 years ago, so maybe, like you said, we could talk about it. Do you know why was it a bad car? Did they come like too early into the championship? Did they really do a lot of testing with it, or was it just designing? Or
I think the car was probably built at the wrong time politically in PSA. There was a lot of changes going on at that time, a lot of changes
mm,
in management. Um, yeah, changes in staff. A lot of different people had charge of the program at different points, as in from an engineering point of view, and um, yeah, it just wasn't so consistent. I don't think it was any one person's fault, but sometimes it was this. There was, like, at the start of the program, there was one guy on charge, then he was moved to I can't remember if it was to Le Mans or if it was to yeah, at that point it would have been Citroen was still full time in the World
mm,
Championship, so maybe he was moved to Citroen, and yeah, it just was a lot of things working against it together, and then time started to run out. There were some fundamental mistakes that were found out quite late at the end of the project that were impossible to undo. So the car was homologated with some flaws, let's say, and yeah, c'est la vie. It is what it is, and I managed to win a couple of rallies with it. I had some fun, but yeah, thankfully they made a great car the next time they did it with the C3, the C3
mm.
R5. So at least now the customer side of PSA is strong again.
How was it at that time as a driver mentally to prepare yourself to every rally, as you knew that the car was it's gonna break down, or it's just not fast enough? How was it as a driver, because it's your work, your passion, you live, you breathe, and you smell, everything is rally. How did you keep yourself mentally motivated through those years?
It was very tough, to be working so hard preparing these rallies, doing the recce's, and I can remember sometimes there was times you'd be wrecking the stages of the last day of the rally, and you're wondering, will I even get to this point that I will drive this road? Do I really need to go back and watch the onboard for 3 hours in the night time,
Mm,
and then maybe never see the road in the rally? So yeah, it was tough, but you just had to try and, when the car was going, try and do the best you can, get the best result possible. And if it stopped, yeah, you couldn't do a whole lot about it. And if it stayed going, then there might be a chance that you could get a good result. But it was a character building year, you could say, yeah, definitely.
what was your goal 2014 when you did Finland and Sweden in the WRC Fiesta? What did you try to
Uh,
achieve with that?
that was with our own car. So again, back with the family team, and yeah, it was to try and maybe get the attention of some of the factory teams. The European Championship program was proving difficult. I was not finishing a lot of the rallies, and yeah, I didn't want that I was going to disappear. I had a bit of momentum in my career up until that point. Having won the JWRC and the
Mm,
academy, and I won WRC two, and then suddenly okay, I had a good season with the 207, but then I was starting to disappear into the background because the car was breaking all the time. We thought that maybe it was a good idea to go there and try and do some good stage times, try to put ourselves in the market window. But in hindsight now, it was yeah, perhaps not the best idea.
mm,
To try and go there with a private car and fight against factory teams, it's just not possible. You can do it at WRC two, maybe you can do it at that level, but to go there to the World Championship, and at that point, you had Volkswagen and Citroen and Hyundai and all these teams there at the top level, and it was next to impossible to try and race them. So yeah, it was probably, I won't say a waste of money. It was a great chance at that stage. We had a lot of fun. Like I said, all the family on the road again,
yeah.
doing the events, and but yeah, it was probably not the best idea in hindsight.
Yeah, but in a way, it's really important that you get to do it together as a family. So maybe it was, there's, like I said earlier, everything has a meaning, and I'm sure this had a meaning also somehow to build you together and make you stronger even together, because there were some tough years also before 2013 and 14. Some not so nice things happened. So I'm sure it was also growing, the team around you, the people who mean to you, support you in your rallying. It built you as a team.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed doing those rallies. With all the familiar faces and familiar people. And same in 2019, I went back and did the Irish Championship. And again with all these familiar people, family and friends again. So I think Gary Vatten used to always say it's not only about the results and the trophies and the statistics. It's about the experience, about the human interaction. It's about
Mm,
the adventure and everything. So yeah, for sure, that's a big part of my story as well. And I just try to enjoy the adventure as much as I can as well.
yeah. So now we move to 2016, the year that you got the deal with Citroen. How did this deal come up?
That was through Sheikh Khaled Al Qasimi.
Hmm.
That deal was coming around, and I have a great deal to be thankful to him. Obviously, Scott Martin, who was co-driving with me at the time, was co-driving for Sheikh Khaled before me.
Yeah.
And I can remember when he was about to make the jump to start co-driving with me, I said, please, whatever you do, keep the relationship with Sheikh Khaled strong. When you tell him, try to be as polite and as politically correct as you can, because you never know in the future what can happen. And please, make sure that everything finishes in a good way. And at that point, Sheikh Khaled was already, and Abu Dhabi Racing was already sponsoring the Citroen team.
Yeah.
So yeah, they left in a very good way. He understood the reasons why he wanted to co-drive with me, and they kept in touch. And then at the end of 2015, obviously Citroen pulled out of the World Championship with the DS3 for that season to
Mm,
prepare for to come back in 2017. But Abu Dhabi wanted to continue with the team,
yeah.
and I got a call. Maybe first of all, I had to go and do like an interview in Paris at Citroen with Yves Maton. Um, and yeah, I think they were maybe not so convinced at the start, which I understand. My results on the paper were not good. If you look at the WRC, it's just a sea of red, red,
Yeah. Yeah.
retire,
Yeah.
retire every single rally. So it was difficult to explain to them. But I remember I spent like 2 or 3 months preparing a document with basically all the stage times of all the events, and then I would have like the mechanical problems that we would have during each one, and like even screenshots of the WhatsApp groups saying that this is a problem we have. This sensor is not working, so the boost pressure is running at this, and blah blah blah. And I basically put it all together and say this is the true story. And I don't expect you to read everything, but if you have a question about any event. And I can remember he was asking me about one rally, and I went, okay, this one. So on this stage, it was this problem and this problem and this problem. Here's the picture. Here's the tire that was coming off the bead all the time. This is I had to run at tire pressures 2.5 because I was afraid it would come off the rim. And all these things, and yeah, it was worthwhile in the end because I managed to convince them that it was a good idea to put me in the car. And I think around a week before Christmas, I got the call to say that I would be doing. I think it was four events in the DS3 in the World Rally Car in 2016, and yeah, that was a very good day. I can tell you, yeah. It was great. And at that point, I had nothing. I had lost the Peugeot program had come to an end. There was going to be nothing more in 2016. So it just worked in perfectly, and yeah, to get back into the World Championship again.
Yeah. But in the story you told, I think that was just a way of them also testing you, because as I have a strong belief in that the people who need to know, is the car, has the car been shit, has it broken all the time, or was the driver good, or was the driver bad? They know who need to know. And of course, you preparing all these facts that the car was doing this, it was broken, then is a bonus. And that's the passion they want to see, that you were prepared. And you know, if you would have just turned up in the meeting saying, "Oh, okay, I don't have any facts, but it was a shit year, the shit car. I did my best. I'm a good driver. Please have me." It could have been a different story, but you had the passion, which is everything that is in our sport. For me, the most important thing is the passion.
Yeah, no, it was important that at least I tried to put across my case as best I could. I knew that if we had the right tools and the right opportunity that we could deliver. So I was fairly desperate that we get that chance at some point.
Yeah. Well, you did 4 or 5 rallies, and you were third in Finland. For some reason, an Irish guy who likes fast rallies. Please explain me this one. Why is it?
I have no idea. We have fast rallies in Ireland, but it's tarmac.
Yeah.
We have a few gravel rallies, but it's mainly on tarmac. And they're mainly narrow, small roads, very bumpy, lots of jumps. So I don't know, maybe if that's the connection, but fast, wide flowing roads in Finland is not really what Ireland is all about. So I really don't know why it suits me so well, especially that year in Finland. I think it was the year that they used the most this wide country tarmac roads, the really proper ones.
Mm,
That to me was the best year of Rally Finland. The conditions was really good. There was not so many anti-cut posts. They were just, I think it was the first year that they used the anti-cut post, and there wasn't as many as normal. So it still left a bit this natural flow of the road. Unemployed in reverse. We know it
mm.
was really, yeah, proper Rally Finland. But really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, there is something special in these fast rallies, surely. Like Ounin Pohja is a stage that everybody wants to do, or Myhimpää is another one. I think you have done Myhimpää as well. It's the roller coaster
I
stage is just,
I did Mohimpa one time only in 2009. I can
yeah,
still remember it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It is a stage. Well, then moving up to 2017, um, the first time you ever drove the 17 car, how did you feel? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was in Fonjoncous, this
A really rough
rough
place.
test, yeah, rough test area in south of France on gravel. And yeah, I remember, yeah, the first time doing the launch was impressive to say the least.
Mm,
The engine was so much stronger. Obviously, the restrictor size had changed, and um, yeah, it was difficult to get your brain used to the speed for the first couple of laps. But yeah, it was definitely, you knew it was something special quite early on into driving it. Like that, this change in the regulations was going to mean a big step in terms of speed and for rallying, and a big evolution forward. So it was, yeah, it was a special moment. I remember that first day get into driving.
you drove 2017 and 18 with Citroen, and I'm gonna say this. I was expecting a lot when I saw. Obviously, I was following a lot on the test videos and everything, and your Citroen at that time, it looked really good. And I think you had two different, not evolutions, but two different versions of the car at some point, at least in testing. There were some differences, but for some reason. then when you started to do the actual rallies, I think you found out that there was some glitches in the designing area. How how did you react, or how did the team, or how did the drivers react to these maybe small issues that you had? Because Citroën was a winning team and they wanted to win, obviously, and it wasn't just possible with the car you had.
Yeah, it was a difficult moment because there was a lot of work put into the development. There was a lot of testing that was done.
Mm,
I think there was maybe 9 or 10 separate test sessions of 4 days each on during 2016 with the C3. So we were quietly confident going to Monte Carlo. I did it with the DS3. The guys Stefan and Chris did it with the C3. But I can still remember on the first one of the shakedown, I was quicker than the two
mm,
C3s with the old car. And I can remember at the time, initially I thought, it was the first one or whatever. And then when I came back around, I said, yeah, it's the first one, but the other car should feel confident in it. At least you shouldn't feel so nervous in it. And I think that was a thing that kind of shone through the whole time, that it was just always a little bit nervous. Still didn't give the driver so much confidence driving it. But yeah, such a pity because there was so much work and so much energy and effort went into the project. Some great people working on it, but ultimately it just didn't work. Not for lack of trying. It
no,
was
no.
during all those years, everyone was trying so hard to improve it, but we always just seemed to be one step behind all the time, and it's such a shame that Citroen are not in the World Championship anymore. They did an update. I obviously stopped the end of 2018. They continued with Seb and Lappi in 19, and they struggled a bit that season as well.
Mm,
And then right at the very end, they did an evolution of the aero package.
yeah,
They did a test in Finland with
yes,
an updated aero. It was with Mads and EP, and they both said that it made a huge difference to the car.
yeah,
And it's really sad that they never got to try it in a rally. So because yeah, it would be great to see them still in the World Championship, and with that team, there really was the Red Army. Yeah? They always said that
mm,
the Citroen was a Red Army, and it was a really close bunch of guys and girls, and it really was. And apart from everything on the sporting side that went on in those years, because it was difficult, the results were very bad. I think I had only one podium in the 2 years. I think between all the rallies, and where there was some victories, there was some good results, but ultimately the results were not what anyone wanted them. But aside from that, I made friends for life in that
yeah.
team. They were so motivated, so great, but ultimately it just didn't work.
How do you see, just going to pause everything that we have talked about. How do you see World Rally Championship now? Just saying that Citroën should be back, maybe Peugeot should be back, maybe Skoda should be back. How do you see where the World Rally Championship is at the minute? Do you agree with, or not agree? What are your thoughts about the rules, and where if you could decide, where would you take our sport to bring more manufacturers into the game?
I think it's difficult for me to say because yeah, I'm not the one that's sitting on a board of management with the manufacturers. But all I do know is that the way that it is now, with the lack of manufacturers, is I won't say not sustainable, but it's difficult. From I can only speak from a driver's point of view, but
Mm,
it's not fair that some of the best drivers in the world, and yeah, I'm very fortunate that I've managed to keep myself in a position of having a factory drive, but it's not fair that some of the best athletes at this sport in the world have to fight every year. First of all, to try and get a factory drive in a Rally 1 car,
mm,
then a factory drive in a Rally 2 car. And if they can't get that, then they're fighting to try and get budgets together to go and do it all by themselves. And, take everything away from the fact that they are drivers and whatever else. They are the best athletes in the world trying to do their sport, and they don't have a place to do it. It doesn't make any sense.
mm,
There needs to be more place for these athletes to perform, and I try to use them as athletes because that's what they are at the end of the day. It's not all they're doing is trying to show their skill, trying to show that they're in the best 10-15% of drivers in the world, and they simply can't.
mm.
There needs to be ways to make it more fair. Like, and I know there is the FIA have tried some great things, some great initiative now with this Rally Star, and but it's true, and I always say that the best rally driver in the world could be sat on the sofa somewhere at home, that he or she never gets a chance to do it. Yeah, it's true.
It is
It's
true.
true,
It is true.
and it's so sad. And there's so many other sports around the world that they're so accessible, and yeah, rallying is a privileged sport. We all know that, but needs to be a little bit less privileged. Needs to be a little bit
Mm,
a little bit more open to allowing people there, and there needs to be more manufacturers in the Rally One cars in the top tier that have more seats, that lets more chances to the guys in WRC2. Let's more seats for the younger drivers to come through in WRC2, and not there shouldn't be drivers that should really be in WRC cars in
mm,
WRC2 cars, if that makes
mm.
sense. There should be space for everybody in WRC, and then the Rally 2 and WRC2 guys should have their chance to really work it up. If you look at in Formula One, the way that it's with F4, F3, F2 now, they are really using it like a feeder series, and it's like a constant evolution. Whereas, unfortunately, we have the same people in WRC2 for 6, 7, 8 years, and they
Mm,
can't go anywhere. And at the end of every year, they're fighting for budgets again to go and start the whole thing all over again.
yeah,
I'm incredibly lucky that I've managed to stay in a World Rally car for as long. But if I didn't perform and I ended up back in that place again, fighting for budget, I have no idea how I could manage to do it, or get that money together. So I have so much admiration for those guys and girls that are doing that every year. So
yeah.
yeah, it needs to be more sustainable and more accessible to more people.
Yeah, I have said this quite few years. This is my personal opinion, but for me, because the world car is really expensive, as we both know, and to run a works team is really expensive. It's always been expensive. Don't get me wrong, but to get more manufacturers in short term, I would make R5 the main class, have a little bit bigger restrictor, a little bit more aero, and go. Take a small, like you took a step back in your career. Take a step back and bring more manufacturers in. Get the boys and girls more works drives. Get more people who really deserve to drive it, like you said yourself. There are people sitting on a sofa, and then start to build the sport from a totally new level. Okay, the spectators might be and the drivers might be complaining for a few months that this car hasn't got the power of the world car, but they will forget it in 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I think it's anything to get more people and more following, more people in the sport. And at the end of the day, if we had like 5 or 6 manufacturers in the World Championship again, because it was there once upon a time, it would be really, really amazing. And yeah, okay, the world is changing and constantly evolving as well, and I'm I'm really excited, and I'm curious to see how the whole this whole hydrogen engine
Mm,
will go forward, because I think one of the biggest things for me is that we keep the noise. We need to keep the sound,
mm,
we need to keep the noise, and I'm really hopeful that there can be a solution with hydrogen going forward in the World
yeah,
Championship, and
yeah,
we can be sustainable and clean, but still, if you're stood in a forest at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, you can still hear this thing coming
mm,
for 2 or 3 kilometers before it arrives. That to me is still the essence of rally, and needs to keep that. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm really hopeful that we can hold on to that.
yeah. I agree. I think if rally would go to electrical cars in the next 2 years or 3 years, I would stop working in rallying because rally for like it's petrol and it's not petrol, but the smell and the noise. That's what rallying is for me about.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's
Natural. Of course you can make sounds like have somebody play the engine sound, but it's not. That's artificial. That's not. It's going to destroy our sport. But let's hope that it doesn't go to that. And there are smart guys who are running FIA, and I'm sure they know what they are doing. So we just need to
yeah,
trust that the new president of FIA, he's a rally man, so I'm sure he will, when he has time, he will surely take good directions to take our sport.
yeah. No, fingers crossed.
Yep. 2020 and 21, you drove for Hyundai. How did this deal come up? Because you just like you said, you've been fortunate enough, but there has to be something else than fortunate and luck. You just end up.
Yeah, it was that was done through my manager at the time, a good friend, James Coleman was quite friendly with Alain Panas, who was the team manager in Hyundai at the time, and obviously during the start of 2019, or during, let's say, end of 2018, beginning of 2019, he was in contact with Alain and trying to say, look, if there is any opportunities, please keep us
Mhm.
in mind and whatnot. And then I started the Irish Championship first of all in 2019, just to get away from everything and basically have some fun and drive in Ireland. And then I had an opportunity to start the Italian Championship, and I won some rallies there. I won in San Remo, and then in Ypres went there with the Polo, and we won also there. And that rally is obviously the rally of Alain Panas. And
Mhm.
we spoke a little bit more during that weekend to try and see if there was a possibility to come back and maybe do some rallies with Hyundai on a part-time basis. And then, yeah, quickly after that, the opportunity came up to do Rally Finland in 2019, and with the Hyundai, and I obviously took it with both hands. It was just that one
Mhm.
rally at the time,
Mhm.
and it went well. I was asked to slow down on the last day to let Thierry back in front, and that was a goal for the weekend. Was basically to try and be there for the manufacturer's points, and I had to slow down to let him in front. So it was, yeah, basically a job well done, and I was gifted a few more rallies from there, and yeah, it went on from there really. So it was great. Yeah, great time there.
How was the Hyundai compared to Citroen as a car and as a team? How can you compare these teams and the cars? How was it to work in those teams?
Team wise, it was not the massive change from Citroen. Like I said, Citroen, I had really good times there with good people. Similar situation at Hyundai. I would lie to say that, I would lie if I said that the Hyundai wasn't better than the Citroen. I think on paper it was very clear that the Hyundai was a strong car.
Mm.
It got better and better. The biggest step was probably during COVID, the COVID break in 2020. There was some really big work done by the boys and girls. From when I drove the car the last, which would have been Swedish rally in February of 2020, and then I drove it again in Estonia. That was like driving a completely different car when we came back again. And I from that point on, I really got into it and enjoyed driving the car so much, especially on those fast rallies like Estonia, Finland, and Arctic Rally. From there, it was so nice and enjoyable, and it just felt like a superhero every time that you drove that car.
Yeah, you were fourth in Arctic Rally, you were second in Estonia, and you were third in Finland.
Yeah,
I think you
no,
must
it
have
was
born in Finland somehow and you just moved to Ireland. Like your dad
Viking,
took you back
Viking,
to
Viking blood.
Viking blood. You must have some Viking blood because it's honestly it's not that often that an Irish or a UK driver comes to Finland and he loves Finland. If you
Yeah,
think of all the drivers, okay, Elvin is quite fast in Finland as well, but he hasn't
yeah.
always been that fast.
No. It's but even from the beginning, from like the first year that I did Rally Finland in 2009, it was the same from the beginning. I liked it and I enjoyed it, and I remember doing the recce. I was a bit overwhelmed, to be
Mm.
honest with you, with everything, and but once I started the rally, I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun, and it just felt quite natural from the start, really, and it never really phased me. I never felt too stressed about it or anything, and just always enjoyed it. Yeah. And I have no explanation why, but it was just good fun.
Yeah. Well, now we are coming close to the last years or last year or where we are now also in the sport. You were with Citroen, you went to Hyundai, and then obviously I've been doing the World Rally Championship now since 2015 nearly rally, and obviously with M Sport the last years with Gus. And something that popped out to my head was during 2021, at some point, Mr. Breen was quite often seen at M Sport tent, um, talking with Malcolm, having talks, surely. How did all this, did you start to talk with Malcolm or did he start to talk with you or how did this all come up?
Yeah, it was me that was pushing sort of already back to Portugal time, which would have been May of 2021. I started to speak a bit with no, even before Croatia actually. In 2021, I started to speak a bit with Richard first, with Rich Miller, and then afterwards with Malcolm. And obviously, I was keen to get a full season.
Mm.
Hyundai could only offer me a partial season for 2022. So I was, let's say, in a good rhythm of events. The results were good, and I was hoping that perhaps we could try and get the chance to do a full season. So we were speaking on and off as the year went on, and obviously as the year went, talks got stronger and stronger. We had some good results in Estonia again, Ypres. And then around let's say Ypres time, it was already getting quite sure that we would have a future together with Ford and M Sport, and by Rally Finland weekend the contract was signed and the deal was done. So that's pretty much how it all came about.
At the time when you first drove the car, I think it Portugal you did the first test, or
I did
Spain.
a
I
I did a
can.
test in Greystoke in Forest at the end of in around September of 2021. Yeah, that was the first time that I drove on gravel. The first proper test I did was in Spain, on gravel. Yeah, no tarmac actually.
How was the car to drive? The first initial feeling of a hybrid car. What was it like to sorry, I'm having issues with my sound alarms here. Sorry. What was the feeling? Because you have driven so many different World Rally cars in your career. You've driven R5s, 17 car, normal World Rally car, and then you drove the hybrid. What was the feeling when in the hybrid when you first time pressed the launch?
It was a big kick in the ass. Let's say when you do the launch with the hybrid boost, it's impressive, very very impressive, and to try to get used to the system and how it works, it felt it was nice. It felt really 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 strong.
Mm,
Took some time to get used to it. Obviously, it's not a conventional rally car anymore. You've got to think about how to regen and how to deploy west the hybrid. So it was it was strange. I would say the first couple of runs, but then getting used to it more and more as it went on, it was definitely interesting.
Did you have to change your driving style with the hybrid, or have you changed your driving style with the hybrid?
Yeah, you have to be careful because I was using maybe a little bit too much the left foot braking before, but
Mm,
you need to be careful because if you're left foot braking on the throttle, you're not doing any regeneration. So you need to be sure that when you are at any point that the car is slowing down, you're pressing the brake and off the throttle,
mm,
because if you're slowing down by only coasting, then you're not regenerating. If you're, like I said, on 30-40% throttle and pressing the brake to slow the car down, you're not regenerating. You need to be completely off the throttle or less than 30%,
mm,
and the brake needs to be more than 5 bar. So you need to get into the spirit, let's say, of always slowing the car down like that. Release the throttle and press the brake every time. Don't combine the two together, or don't just release the throttle. So try
mm.
to gain as many times the regen boost. So it does take some time to get used to, but once you get into the rhythm of it, and you become one with the system, it becomes easier and easier.
Yeah. Um, well, you had a lot of seat time before the season, and the season obviously started amazingly for the team. Loeb winning, you on the podium, but well, we all know how the season went. It was not a very easy season, so to say. And I don't really want to go too much into the season, but do you want to somehow shortly say how the season was for you?
Yeah, look, the clearest thing for me and for everyone was that no one wanted it to go the way that it did. It was nobody's intention, nobody's idea. Um, we were all disappointed with the results.
Mm,
For sure, it wasn't for lack of motivation on from a lot of sides. Let's say we all wanted to try to do it as best we can, but um, in life sometimes things don't work out, for
mm,
whatever reason it may be. It's in the past now, and it was definitely an experience. I made a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I got to do a full World Championship season, which is not so many people can say that they ever did that in their lifetime. So
No.
regardless of a little bit back to what we spoke of before, regardless of the results, from a life experience point of view, I got to do rallies on all different continents around the world, and work with great people there in M Sport.
Mm,
I'm sorry that I couldn't give them the results that uh, that everyone wanted, and I really do mean that everyone wanted the results. It was just
mm,
the circumstances that were there, the reality of the situation brought us the results that were there. So it's in the past now.
yeah.
I've tried it. If I didn't at least try it, I would have never known. It would always have been a question in my mind if I hadn't have done it. So now it's done. I was fortunate enough to get a chance to go back to Hyundai again,
Mm,
and back to this partial program that I did before, and I'm as motivated as ever to get started on that. And I just have to leave what happened last year in the past now and move on.
yeah. I would just want to say that it wasn't about all the boys and girls giving all that they could and even more to make all the cars ready and build the cars and be there for you. And obviously you tried your best as well. So it was just a year that just didn't work out. And it's part of life. It just doesn't always work out the way you have planned. But like you said, now you're
Exactly.
in your own team that you don't know the management, maybe you know most of the guys and the girls maybe over there. But how do you feel? You said you're very motivated. Do you know how many rallies you're going to do this year, or is it still up in the air?
It's a little bit of a moving target. It's always the same with the third car. It depends, yeah, on how the season is going, how the drivers' championship is. Obviously, the whole reason for the third car is to try to have the best road position possible for the gravel events.
Mm,
To try not and have our drivers' championship position too high. Um, so that will depend a lot. Of course, I'll start in Sweden. After that, it depends on a lot of things, really. If Danny should do Mexico, more than likely. And yeah, after that we'll know a bit more. There's some rallies that are very clear that Danny won't do,
mm,
and that I like to do, like in Estonia, Finland,
mm,
rallies like that. So, but after that, it's never something that's completely concrete and decided before the start of the season. It sort of moves and changes depending on yeah, like I said, how the drivers' championship is, how the current form of both myself and Danny are, and obviously we just want to try and do as many rallies as we can and try to do the best job we can.
yeah, and I'm sure you will do a good thing. But I need to ask this because, well, I know you quite well, and we have been over there for years. How was it after a tough season? How long did it take you mentally to get your mind, because you need to clear your mind, you need to get over the disappointment that you had, obviously, as a driver or as a team. How long did it take you to be ready for the next season?
I went back to Ireland and I did some rallies with the historic
Historic
car,
car
and
with Paul.
that to me is therapy. That to
Yeah.
me is my therapy. Go back to the pure basic of everything to do with motorsport, and I love to do all those old historic stuff and national stuff in Ireland, because it just brings you back to the purity of the reason why you started the sport in the first place, which is just to drive cars as fast as you can and enjoy the spirit of rally and everything about the adrenaline rush, and you just forget about all the political things and
Mm,
the sporting things. You just go and enjoy it, and it reminds you so much of why, at least for me anyway, why I chose to start rallying in the first place, because
mm,
it's so pure, it's so natural, it's an adventure, and that you know events like that, yeah, perhaps on the professional side of things, people might complain about it. They might think, what am I doing, and why doing these historic rallies and national rallies when you should be concentrating on the world championship. To me, that's my whole world is rallying, and that's as close as I can get to the purity of the sport of rallying. So
mm,
that's what I did this year. I went back and did some. First of all, I had to get that car ready for the historic rally, so there was a lot of work to get that to get it ready. That's my own personal car. My dad was doing it also, so testing a bit with him and just other bits and pieces, and yeah. the passion just comes straight away back again, and that just makes me more motivated to go back and do the job properly on my day job.
Yeah, sure it does. You know what? One thing that I envy you about, or in your what you have been able to do, Group B Metro,
What's that?
Group B.
But it's not even Group B. This one. This one I can actually rally. You can use it on a national rally.
You can.
So yeah. So when Group B was banned in '86,
This, yeah.
Austin Rover had like 200 of these metros that nobody wanted anything to do with them. The
Uh-huh.
homologation cars, plus all the stock cars they built, and they had spent a crazy amount of money developing the car. It was a complete failure. It was the Austin Rover project, the Metro 604 project was at a world championship level was a failure, but um, it was yeah they'd spent crazy money. Like the car was developed by Williams F1. So they needed to try and generate some revenue back again. So the car was originally in the World Championship with a 3-liter engine. So they made an agreement that the car could run in national events if it was sleeved down to a 2.5. So now any of the Metro 604s that are currently running in Ireland and UK, I think they're the only countries that you can use them,
Mm-hmm.
is with a 2.5 engine. But now with modern day, it's still the same block, the same head, everything, but it's now with the it's sleeved down to 2.5 with original transmission, everything like it was. But now with the modern day ECUs, modern day injection systems, it actually has more power than what it had when it was in Group B with the 3-liter. Um, but so yeah, it's not that car is not technically Group B, but it's faster than it would have been when it was in Group B, and I can go to a national rally in Ireland and I can race, which I plan to do this year.
Right. That's nice. Have you driven a real Group B car then in a rally
I
or
drove
test?
I drove the factory 604 from Tony Pond,
Mm-hmm.
the proper computer vision car, full factory car, just on the track. And yeah, beautiful. That was proper original car, 3-liter. Um, and yeah, but the first thing I remember when I drove it was not being massively impressed with the power, being massively impressed with the heritage and how well it was restored. In fact, it was not even restored; it had been kept preserved for all the years. But the power compared to our own was less, so it was funny actually. That the Group B car was actually slower than what we can run nowadays in a national rally. So,
Mm.
um, but yeah, I've been lucky to drive. I've drove an S1 Quattro as well. Um, I've driven that belonging to Dirtfish, Steve Rimmer, his collection. I drove it a couple of years back. Um, Stratus. Uh,
Oh
yeah,
man.
a couple of other S4. I didn't get to drive. So yeah, I'm still missing a couple of the bucket list. But I can remember in one year I drove. Let me get this right. So I drove a Group 4 Escort in BDA in one rally.
Mm-hmm.
Then I drove the Metro, which is effectively is Group B. I did Rally Legends with the Group A Subaru. I did something with with the 2-liter WRC car. I can't remember what it was. I did with the Escort WRC that I had. So that was
Mm-hmm.
from 2-liter WRC.
Mm-hmm.
Then I drove the 2017 WRC Hyundai, and I drove the hybrid Puma. So in one year I had driven basically every single category of like Group 4, Group B, Group A, WRC 2-liter, WRC 2-liter, WRC 1.6. I did a rally in Ireland with 1.6 WRC, then 2017 and hybrid, all in around 12 months. So it was yeah,
You have
that
been a
was that
lucky
was
boy.
crazy.
You have been a lucky boy.
Yeah. And this is what I live for.
Now I have some. There is like 70 questions from viewers, but I'm obviously not gonna
Wow.
have these 70 questions because we're gonna be here till tomorrow morning. But I'm gonna take some of these if it's okay with you.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
three Irish drivers: Josh, William, and Eamon Kelly doing the JWC or WC2. How do you see the Irish rallying or these young guns trying to get? Do you try to help them or support them somehow, or how does it work in Ireland?
They have an incredible support network in Ireland. They have this Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy, which is basically a platform for our best young rally drivers to bring them from national level onto the world stage. We were very lucky that we've had some ex let's say ex national expats that have gone on to better things, made a lot of money, very successful businessmen that have put money back into our federation in Ireland again. Um, Namely, John was John Campion. First of all,
Mm,
that was putting money into the fund. Unfortunately, John passed away a few years ago. He was a great sponsor of mine as well, and latterly John Coyne. And they've basically invested in these youngsters to try and get them a chance, get them a big break. One driver is chosen every year to win the Billy Coleman Award. It's known as, and they get a chance then to get onto this academy, and it gives them an incredible opportunity to go right the way up to the World Championships. So that guy was saying there, we now have in Monte Carlo there was two Motorsport Ireland
mm,
Rally 2 Hyundai's taking part in the event, all through the colours of the Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy. So um, and that's fully funded for these youngsters. So it's an incredible opportunity. I don't know any other ASN that is able to provide something like that.
no.
And it's not just the events. They're getting huge preparation between the rallies with their fitness and their mental preparation and nutrition. And basically they're trying to make the next one of me for when I stop. So it's great. It's looking very healthy. Each year
Mm,
there's another new talent put into the scene. So it's a great program, and it will definitely be a success. And I'm looking forward to the next guy or girl that will make it right up into the World Championship, into a Rally One car. That's the goal of the program.
do you know how long the plan is for this federation back thing to keep on going?
For as long as it takes, I think. I
Okay,
think I don't know a matter of a number of years, but it's not a short term program. That's all I know.
okay. Hey Craig, as a Belgian, I was wondering, how do you find our roads, because you have driven on it much as it seems.
Yeah, I've done a lot of rallying in Belgium over the years. I'm lucky that I have let's say the Belgium rallying bingo. Let's say I won Condros and Ypres, so they're the two big
Mm,
rallies that are in Belgium. So I have good memories there. The roads are nice, tricky. Ypres. It's special. Lots of junctions, straight roads, changing tarmac every time, and great atmosphere in the city. And I've enjoyed doing that both in the World Championship and as a national rally and in the European Championship. And then Condors then on the Walloon part of Belgium is completely different, bit more profile to some of the roads, tricky conditions in the wintertime. A huge spectator following, a little bit too much sometimes, if anything. But I definitely I like doing rallies in Belgium.
what do you think about the tire saving Sundays in World Rally Championship? You know what I mean with tire saving Sundays. That something happens today in nearly every event. Any idea how it could be solved? And then how would you describe your driving style? Left foot braking, braking late, braking early, etc.
For the tire situation, I hadn't really given it much thought until I saw it myself in Monte the weekend, and I guess it does make Sunday morning a little bit boring sometimes for people watching at home when everything is a bit spread out. When there's a race on, everybody is flat out, and it doesn't make any difference. But I can see that it can be maybe a little bit boring to the public and people watching at home when everybody is driving slow to protect the tires. So
Mm,
yeah, I'm sure that there is ways and means of making it work. You could probably do a tire fitting zone before the power stage, but create some complications, I
mm,
guess, on the logistics side. But I think that's the only way that you could perhaps do it. And then my driving style before hybrid, I was using left foot braking a lot, which is probably not the most efficient way. And Since we changed to hybrid, it's even less good, let's say. So I've been trying to eliminate it and delete it more out of my driving style as much as I can. If you ever watch an onboard of Loeb or his foot cam, let's say he's never combining the pedals. He presses
Yeah,
one and then he lets it go and presses the other one,
yeah.
and he seemed to do quite well, that guy. So I
And
think it's
Ogier as
probably the
well.
best.
And Ogier as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Because
it's very very impressive.
that's his driving style is a driving style. Well, 17 was the first time I saw him drive. Like you could see from data or wherever you could see. That's the driving style I try to give my drivers who I teach, younger or older ones. That you might brake a little bit earlier, brake with a little bit less pressure, then you roll with small throttle, and you go full throttle when you know you can go full. It doesn't
Yeah,
look like anything, but it seems to be quite efficient and seems to work quite well as well.
exactly. Looks well.
Now I have five questions for you. Front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, or four wheel drive?
It depends the car. If it's a rear wheel drive, then yeah, with the Escort or with the BMW or M3 or something like that. If it's four wheel drive, yeah, with the World Rally car, and if it's front wheel drive, then with the 306 Maxi or with the Megane Maxi or something like that. So it depends the
Depends of
car.
the car. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Gravel or tarmac?
Tarmac,
Small or big roads?
small,
Understeer or oversteer?
oversteer all day long.
H pattern or sequential?
H pattern, dog box, definitely.
Okay. That was from Richard Burns Rally podcast questions. So
Oh, good.
you
I
have
still,
lot of
I still,
you have lot of Richard Burns Rally players here as well watching you.
I still play it. I still play it. Still great game.
Um, right, let's try to find some more questions. There's so many doubles. What's the nicest memory from Rally Estonia?
Oh, so many good memories, honestly. Probably the 2000 and 2020 we had a really big race with Oit Tanek. Um, and that was the first time that we were really fighting at the front to lead the event. And obviously, with it being Oit's home, that was really a great moment. I enjoyed it a lot, and to be able to race against him toe to toe for the 2 days, that was
Mm.
something really special. So that's probably one of the best memories from that.
Your girlfriend Tamara is also known as a rally driver. Have you done any rallies lately together? She was your co-driver last year in Legends, not this year, but the year before, wasn't she?
Yeah, two legends, not last year, the year before. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
she's. We've done some rallies together, not since I think it was 2018. We did a rally in Italy, a proper one. But then we've done legends twice together. So yeah, no, she's better at driving, and she's better to stick to that. But no, she did a good job as a co-driver when she did it as well. To be fair, but I know that she would prefer to be driving as well.
Yeah, of course. Who wants to be a co-driver? I do.
Exactly.
When do you see we in Finland driving a historic rally?
Uh, I would hope very soon. I really wanted to try to do a latte rally last year, but
Hmm.
it was just too difficult to make it work with the schedule. But I need to check it this year and see if I can do it. But if I can make it work, I would really love to do this European Championship rally of latte. So let's see what's possible. But only if Jari-Matti is going as well. So
I'm
we'll
sure
see.
he will. I'm sure he will take his Celica and do the rally. Who have been your idols in rallying?
I'm not sure how many people will know this guy, but Frank Maher. Was an Irish rally driver from close to my home. Unfortunately, he was killed in an accident testing in 2002. Um, and he was like the ultimate underdog, guy that had
Mm.
very little money, very low budget, and was fighting against the factory cars and factory teams. He was always like nearly two generations of car behind the behind the leaders every time, but was able to make up for it with talent. And yeah, just like I always say, the ultimate underdog, and who doesn't like the underdog story? So
Mm.
he was he was my idol when I was a kid growing up, and I'm lucky enough now that I have his one of his most famous cars that he won the Circuit of Ireland Rally in 1992. The Sierra is his actual car, so really nice that I have that now in the collection.
How many cars do you have in your collection?
Oof, when I say my collection and our
Oh, your
collection,
dad's
I
collection.
own
Your and your dad's.
yeah, that one, that one is mine. The Sierra is mine. So we have that. Then there is, if I walk it from the newer ones back, the Focus from 2006, the WRC. Then there is the Legacy Group A, the Metro. Then there is the Sierra. We'll have an M3, a Group A M3 that will arrive this year. I will have it in August, and that's it. I've sold I had an Escort WRC that this one from Patrick Snard, but I've actually sold that now.
Okay.
It's gone to Austria, I think now. So yeah, I need to get some space.
Surely. You don't need to tell in which order. Obviously, you are going to be number one, but and you don't need to tell me why. But top 5 drivers in the world in the history.
Oh wow!
Don't think too much. You don't need to explain. Just tell me 5 names that are for you the best drivers in the history of rallying.
Colin, Carlos, Loeb, Ogier. Wow.
It's not easy.
Kankkunen, and I like Kankkunen because he was able to go Group B, Group A, and WRC. I think he's the guy that I'm probably the most jealous of in the World Championship because he was able to be a professional driver all the way from Group B to Group A and WRC. So
Yeah.
I put him in there as well.
Yeah. That was a good list. Colin, I like that Colin was over there. I sort of knew that he would be there.
When you're a kid born in the 90s, I think you don't know anything else apart from Conor McRae and evolution.
No.
Somebody's launching a
Somebody's
car.
launching. That's my old Mitsubishi position.
I can hear it.
Yeah, it's something wrong with the OBS. It's the thing I do the broadcast with. The sound shouldn't be there, but they are there. Would you hope to drive test event like Hyundai will do with EP, or are the test days just enough?
Of course, I'd like to. Obviously, the test days are restricted even more this year. It's only 21 days for all the teams. So there's no plans at the moment, but for sure, I would like to get as many days as I can in the car. So let's see.
There's a good rally in Finland before Rally Finland.
Yeah,
very good event.
Okay.
I think it's a week before Rally Finland. It would fit in your test schedule, I'm sure.
I'm sure it would. We'll put in a word and see.
So you will have 1 day of testing in the Hyundai, and you have not done anything really in the car. Are you comfortable? Are you confident that you can get yourself into the car? You know, obviously you have been at the factory and you know the car. Do you think it's a lot different to the Puma?
I'll tell you next week when I get the proper test. But yeah, look, I've been used to doing it in the past. There was rallies in 2020 and 2021 where we had just 1 day of testing and you had to go in and deliver. So we're lucky that obviously on the first day of the rally I'll have a good road position. So yeah, we just try and make the most of that. Try to be fast as early as we can, even if it will be difficult with the lack of seat time. I will, like I said, I will have the advantage of that, and I just hope to develop into the car as the weekend goes on and get more and more competitive, and let's see. But I won't know for sure until I get to the end of the first stage and look at the board. Then I'll have a bit of a better idea of how things are.
What's your goal for Sweden?
I enjoy it. Finish with a smile on my face, and
Good.
That's literally all I care about right now. It's a long time since I did a a rally, or let's say a long time since I did a WRC rally and came to the end with a smile on my face. So honestly, that's the first goal, and if I'm smiling, then it means the result must be pretty good as well.
Yeah, you don't need to say anything. You can just smile. That would be nice to see. I agree on that
Yeah.
one. I agree on that
So
one.
let's see. Let's
Um,
see.
only a few more questions, and then I'll let you go. What's your favorite rally, and what's your favorite stage in all the rallies you have done through the years?
Oof, yeah, difficult. Honestly, and it will disappoint people. All the best stages in the world are in Ireland. There's
Oh,
no better
come
place in the.
on.
No, really, 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 really. There's nothing. I've been to Wanga Coast and Unampaya and Pile and all these famous stages around the World Championship, Caldertorini. Um, I've been everywhere, but there's nothing better than Ireland. I'm sorry, but every time I go back there, it feels unbelievable. Especially where Paul's home place is in Killarney,
Yeah.
where the historic rally was. The stage is there in the summertime, especially when we do the modern rally. I did it in 2019, and it blows my mind every time that I go down there. It's like a roller coaster. It's like Unempire on tarmac. It's really like that, and you're just flying on all these crests and jumps, and everything is so green, and the small walls, and sometimes you're at the sea, these little bridges and rivers and everything, and it's just no. Honestly, it's so nice.
Well, if they
You
are
have to
so
go there to
nice and they are
experience
so great, why is it not a World Championship event?
money.
I knew you were going to say
Simple,
it.
simple as that. Money
Yeah.
is the only reason. It would be, and unfortunately, when they did the World Championship in Ireland in 2007 and 2009, it was in Sligo in the northwest of the country. And nice place by all means, but the weather was terrible,
Mm,
and it was just mud the whole weekend. There was just complete mud bath, and was anyone that you speak to about Rally Ireland now in the World Championship, they just have horror stories about how much mud and shiny tar and rain and cold and grey skies, and yeah, not really ideal.
no.
That's how it is.
That's the way it is. Well, I think I've kept you here now 1.5 hours. You said 1 hour is, or we sort of said 1 hour is okay, but normally these interviews are 2 or 2.5 hours, so we have been good. But
1 hour plus the VAT, we say.
yeah, it's been
It
good.
worked out in the end.
Thank you, Craig.
No worries. No, it's been a pleasure.
You
It's
had
been it's
you
been
had a lot
been
of
good.
viewers here, and they thank you. You cannot see the chat, but there's a lot of people, and you have a lot of fans in Finland as well. I don't know
Good.
how it's
Right.
possible, but for some strange reason, they seem to like you.
No,
And they
always
wish
good
you,
memories
and
in
they
Finland.
wish you,
So
and they wish you the best of luck for Sweden. As
no,
do
I
I.
appreciate that. So fingers crossed everything will go well and we come back to Jyväskylä in August time and have a good rally there as well. So
Yeah,
let's see.
I won't see you in Sweden because we start from Mexico, but I think I'll see you at some point during the year anyway.
For sure, we will catch up for sure.
We will.
Let's maybe I see you in Mexico. Join directly. I will be there. So
Okay, cool. Would be nice.
we'll catch up there for a
We'll
Corona.
catch up. Well, we'll do that. Have a good test next week, and hopefully you find yourself comfortable in the car and have a really good Rally Sweden, mate.
Perfect. Thanks for
Let's
that question.
let's keep in
Appreciate it.
touch. Okay, thanks, Craig.
Bye bye.
Cheers.
Bye bye.
Ta-da.